Hey everybody, go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. We're going to talk about the Wolverine. That's right, we're at the point in the X-Men where the Wolverine gets introduced, not in the X-Men though, but in the Hulk. And this consists of episodes, issues 180, 181, and 182. Now, to say he's introduced in 180 is true, that is a fact, but essentially all we get is a passing reference to Weapon X, and him showing up in like the final panel as the Hulk fights Wendigo. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about what's going on. So the Hulk is doing Hulk stuff and bouncing around and getting into trouble and just trying to be left the fuck alone when he enters Canada. And then Canada's like, oh, that sumbitch is back. Get Weapon X in here. So the Weapon X, for those of you uninitiated, is Wolverine. There's a whole thing with like the Weapon X program and the Weapon H. Oh no, what is it? Department H, I think is what it is. Which is where we get introduced to Alpha Flight later on. Alpha Flight's like the Canadian superhero team, kind of like the Avengers, but Canadian. And that Wolverine is like, what's it called? Retroactively inserted into as being like a member in certain versions of X-Men lore. In the current X-Men lore, though, that we're currently experiencing right now, all we know is that Canada has a Weapon X program. Dun dun dun. So Hulk finally gets lured in by this woman that he's met before when he was here last time, who's trying to subdue like the power of the Wendigo through Hulk, through kind of like underhanded means by causing him to like sleep and moving like the possession of like the guy who's being possessed by the Wendigo. The Wendigo, he comes up again later. So it's not really like thoroughly explained, but essentially the Wendigo is like a curse that turns somebody into like, it's like a werewolf, essentially. When you think of like a traditional like berserking, half man, half animal kind of creature that kills and is satiated by blood and carnage or whatever, that's like the Wendigo. It's like a Canadian thing, I guess. So Wendigo comes to talk to like the lady and her like buddy who's hanging out, and Hulk wakes up from his like dream thingy that she puts him in, and he's like, oh, Hulk bad. And so they start fighting, and they fight and they fight and they fight, and then right when they're fighting they hear a voice, and it's like, hey, you big dummies, get ready to get destroyed, it's me, the Wolverine, dun dun dun. And that's all we get in issue 180. So Wolverine strikes. Him and the Hulk and Wendigo start fighting it out, and they fight. And we learn about Wolverine's adamantine claws. We don't really get much of his healing. We know that he's super fast and resilient, and that he can take a hit, because Hulk punches him and it doesn't crush him to death. But then Wolverine and the Hulk team up, because the Hulk was fighting the Wendigo, and then Wolverine starts fighting the Wendigo, and Hulk's like, okay, we friends, let's fight. And so they fight and beat the shit out of the Wendigo. Hulk tosses him, and Wolverine jumps on him and goes stab, stab, stab. And they're like, is he dead? And he's like, no, he seems immortal. And then a silence settles in, and they both eye each other, and then it's Hulk versus Wolverine. So then Wolverine attacks Hulk, and we find out that the military sent him his Weapon X to battle the Hulk and to capture him, and he has 6 hours to do it, or there's going to be a contingency plan. They're going to find a different way to deal with the Hulk. And so Wolverine's out here trying to get that done. Meanwhile, the Wendigo crew, which is Georges and the lady that Hulk keeps referring to as Animal Woman, I forget her name, they drag Wendigo back, and what they're going to do is they're going to try to transfer Wendigo to the Hulk, like the curse. But then Wolverine and Hulk, they keep fighting. They fight. They fight so long, the sun comes up, like hours go by. And Georges is feeling, he doesn't like the idea of doing this to the Hulk, but then Animal Lady knocks both Wolverine and Hulk out with some sort of like gas from like a chemical thing. And then what happens is Hulk turns back to Bruce Banner, and then Georges is like, I can't do this. I could hardly do it when it was a monster, but now that it's a man, I don't feel good about this at all. So he takes off, and he makes the decision that he owes a debt to this guy and that he loves this woman. So he's going to take the place. He's going to take the curse of the Wendigo on himself, which he does. Meanwhile, the woman chains up Wolverine, and she's trying to pull Hulk back so she can use him to transfer the curse over when he turns back into the Hulk, and he's mad. And then Wolverine's awake, and he's like, hey, let's keep fighting. And so Hulk tries to shatter Wolverine by throwing him onto the ground. It shatters the chains, but Wolverine, as we know, has adamantine bones, and so they fight. Some more. The animal lady runs back and sees Wendigo, and then she freaks out, and then Hulk and Wolverine stop fighting for a second, which gives Hulk enough time to hit Wolverine in the head real hard, knocking him down. Meanwhile, the back at the cave, the animal woman sees the Wendigo, and he's like pointing back at the cave, and she sees, oh no, what I just described happened. George's turned into the Wendigo. He confesses his love to her, and then he storms off. So her brother's healed of the curse, but now he has the curse, and she's all sadapotamus. And so the Hulk hears a crying woman, and he's a misogynist, so he goes in and like puts a comforting hand on her shoulder while she cries. Oh, good stuff. So the next issue of the Incredible Hulk just wraps up Wolverine real fast. The Canadian government shows up, says, Wolverine, you had 6 hours. Wolverine cries about it for a minute, but then gets in like a capsule and takes off. The end. So go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment on this, and I'll catch you guys next time when we start Second Genesis, or Deadly Genesis, or whatever you want to call it, with Giant Size X-Men #1. Cool. Catch y'all later.